and harassed innocent people, I can't deal with that. So I've been assaulted. I've had a lot of problems with my perpetrators. I'm just to the point that they can't shut me up. And people know that I'm going to go forward, and I will stick my neck out. But I wanted to ask you, you mentioned earlier that it sounds kind of far-fetched that people are being stalked like this. But I've had the opportunity to speak with many, many people since I last spoke with you, and many people said that this occurred prior to the rise of Hitler. He practiced a lot of organized stalking, and I found out this did occur in Russia. And it's not such an uncommon tactic to use on people. Of course, it's never been used in the United States, which I find very odd because we stand for a free society. But millions of people are popping up here. Someone told me over 7 million now in the United States alone. And many people believe this is a Nazi infiltration from Operation Paperclip that has escalated to this point. What do you think the chances of that could be?
You know, that's probably more research. I didn't know it went back that far. I knew probably some of the individuals I talked to go back to probably 50s or 60s. We know back in Hitler's time that there was some experiments going on and mind control and, you know, some horrendous experiments and tests that went on, you know, trying to see how much people could endure. And obviously, it's not surprising that it started at that point. And the lady, Barb Geyer, that I had on my radio program yesterday, when she was in a, you know, we're not sure what it is, whether it's a hospital that's been torn down, everything has been buried, and there's no record of it. She feels like that she knows that there were some devices implanted in her. She has the scars on her neck, on her head, and when she goes to get MRIs, they refuse to give her the copies of the MRIs that she takes with her. So hopefully she can find somebody to help there to look into this, and we do need to put a stop to this. Realize our federal government has, you know, built and, you know, do the research to come up with some, as I say, non-lethal weapons to use in warfare. But unfortunately, they have to do some testing on this. And, you know, who else are you going to test it on but humans? And, you know, if they can determine some way that they can control people, their minds, the warfare, you know, I suppose that would be a weapon in warfare that you would like to use for your enemies. But unfortunately, it's fallen into the wrong hands. Innocent individuals are being, as we mentioned, harassed by this. And at some point, I imagine the federal government does not want to admit that they've been doing this. It's not surprising. They've been caught doing other testing and research on individuals in the past, and it's something that, you know, we should not stand for, and that's going to be the problem, getting the federal government to admit to it. I suppose in some years coming, they'll probably admit to it like they did in the Tuskegee incident, but then that was years later, so...
well, many people believe that our government has been infiltrated by the Nazis and Satanists, because the Nazis definitely were Satanists, or they wouldn't have done the things that they did. Many people believe now we have a Satanist infiltration in this country. And I interviewed Russ Dizdar a few weeks ago from shatterthedarkness.net, and he really follows this. He's dedicated his life to exposing Satanism, and he believes it is the Nazi regime as well. And his whole website and all his podcasts are dedicated to exposing the Satanism. He mentioned in the interview that there's over 100,000 covens right now in the United States alone. And he said they are in a reconnaissance stage where they're just testing the waters before they come forward to a higher rising, I guess. They want to come out totally and take over. What do you think about that?
That's not too surprising. Let me give you a comparison. As your listeners know, or they may not know, I'm the one who formed Lorry Legislators Against Real ID, a coalition of legislators around the country to stop the Real ID Act. Mm-hmm. So the Real ID Act is to require everybody to carry a card with them so that the government knows where you are and track you, and at some point the federal police will stop and ask you to show your papers. So who do you think is the one who came up with kind of have to ask yourself, what is wrong with our country when our leaders are those who would do this to us? So it is not surprising that they're bringing those people in to infiltrate this and run these kinds of programs. At least that's been my experience, and it's frightening when you think about the repercussions of what's going to happen when we bring people over, you know, who don't have they're not well meaning what they want to do. They're bent on destruction and control of individuals in this country and eventually the world.
Well, many people are talking that we may move to a fascist government because they're seeing all the mind control, they're seeing the organized stalking as in the days of Hitler. And I think I came across something, I believe on Yahoo or MSN the other day, that talked about a program in Florida where if you turned in your neighbor, you could get cash. And people were discussing that had happened prior to Hitler's rise as well, turning in each other. So people think that people in this country are very worried that I talk to because this is growing, and my perpetrators at night with the voices, because I get the voices, they always say, come on, everybody else is going with the program, but you're not going with the program. And I know one thing, I'll never turn against the United States. If they have to kill me, they do. I was raised to respect the red, white, and blue and their allies and people, and I will never go with the program unless the president comes down and he says, hey, this is the program, then I follow what the United States tells me to do, but not perpetrators and not criminals who have no regard for this country. So many people fear a fascist government is rising, and they see these FEMA prison camps all over, and they're becoming worried. I have people calling me, and they're saying, well, what's happening with these camps? Is that where we're going? So there's a lot of worry. How would you address that?
Yeah, I think what you talked about there is quite true. The parallels between that are just frightening, and that's the whole intent. At some point in the future, you turn your neighbor in if you think he's a potential terrorist or a potential spy, and through this mind control thing, like I said, I've had a number of people who call me all over this country who have similar experience, and it couldn't be contrived. People that don't know each other couldn't come up with the same type of harassment, the voices, the sound waves, especially in the night, the fact that, people following him. And as I've mentioned many times, we probably have a few people out there who are, have mental problems that are getting mixed up with it. And we have to filter them out, that they are not the true victims of this, but we have many others who are victims of this, and that's the biggest problem probably that you've encountered, is getting people to realize that this is a true threat out there. But then as people start to see the pictures, if they hear the testimony from people who they know they can believe and trust in, then they will understand that what we have going on there is a threat to our way of life, and they need to get involved and especially support those who are victims of this. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we can do right now, is have these support groups and telephone conference calls where people can get on and find out that they're not the only ones that's being subjected to this. And I think I know you're doing a good job in comforting those and supporting those who call you for help.
I'm really trying, and it's very hard because, as I told you before, I'm a victim of this, and I've actually been physically raped and gang raped by these people, and they just keep trying to beat me down, and hearing other people in pain, it's very difficult. I feel, my heart really goes out to them, so I really feel the emotion for these people. But I've had them tell me, thank God, that we have somebody to talk to, because I've had a couple say they just didn't think they'd make it much longer. They were ready for suicide. They said, please don't hold it against me. Don't look at me as a bad person if I should commit suicide. And right away I do my best to talk them out of it. And they always feel a lot better at the end of the conversation that they have somebody